Am I the a-hole for refusing to babysit the golden child's baby after he disowned me for being adopted? Plus updates. Original post. I, 20 female, was adopted when I was 16 by my half-brother and his wife, who were in their late 30s at the time. They already had 6 children when they adopted me, but it was never an issue. They have treated me like their own kids since they met me, and later adopted me. So did all their other kids. Except for one, their golden child who is only 4 months older than me, who we will call Chad. Chad has always been an insensitive a-hole to literally everyone, including our other siblings. He would literally fist fight our older sister, say horrible and mean things to everyone, and get away with it. He also had extreme anger issues that would cause broken doors, holes in walls, etc. He also got to do everything me and my sister were never able to do. Got a free car, go out at night, etc. When we were still in school together during high school, he got up in front of our whole class year and told everyone I wasn't his sister, and never would be. He then told me in front of his friends that I would never be a part of his family, and I should just get over it, and walked off. This was not a one-and-done thing. He would keep doing this up until he moved out and I stopped seeing/talking to him. Golden Boy once again got a limelight of the family after he got married right after high school, moved out to his wife's family's house, and then had a baby, the first grandbaby. Since this has happened, I have stayed as far away from him as possible, only seeing him for family pictures every year because our mother asks. Recently, I decided to come forward to our mom about what he said and did because she was upset about how I was distancing myself from him. She basically pulled the "that's still my kid and it's my first grandbaby" card as the reason she wasn't going to be upset over it. I didn't really care, to be honest. I knew it wasn't going to change her mind on her kid anyway. Then, out of nowhere, I got a message begging me to come to babysit for them because you're the only one who can deal with these kinds of babies because no one will help. Apparently, they're weaning their kid off of breastfeeding, and the baby is extremely clingy because of that. And the fact that mom is a germphobia who has basically isolated this kid since birth, it literal has only been held by like 6 people since it's been born. They know I don't sleep for the most part because I'm an insomniac with ADHD, and I also am not bothered by crying. For some reason, I can sit for hours with a baby crying and it doesn't bother me. Can't tell if that's a blessing or a curse at this point. My sister is mad at me because apparently they haven't asked anyone else in the family for help but me, and everyone wants to go see this baby. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to be around or take care of the baby because his father said I'm not a part of his family? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. I will send them your hourly rates you will charge for the work. When Chad tries to pull the family card, say clearly that he has always publicly announced that you are not his sister and never will be. So you are only keeping Chad's word. Oh, please do this. This is so perfectly petty. OP should make sure to remind him of every single time he wronged her. Make him really think about his actions. The entitlement he has is insane, and the fact that everyone seems fine with it boggles my mind. Not the a-hole at all. Stand your ground. You do not owe Chad anything. He took action. Now he has to face the consequences. Just keep repeating, he said that I was not a part of his family and never would be. Therefore, I owe him nothing. This is not open for discussion. My decision is final. If you decide to go, make an absurd rate of $100 per hour paid up front. I say this gently, but your adopted parents aren't as great as you think they are. Treating your children differently, showering gifts and praise in 1 out of 7 kids and allowing one to be an a-hole to the rest is horrible. And I'm sorry they knew way before you sat your mom down and told her. She has always known and looked the other way. Now for the first update. I want to say this. I read everyone's comments and it made me feel much better knowing my feelings on this whole situation are valid. I wanted to give an update that most of you may not like. After I posted, I ended up talking to 2 of my friends from high school. They were actually there during multiple occasions when Chad publicly said all that stuff. I talked with them for a little while, and one of these friends actually came over almost weekly when I was still living at my parents' home, so she firsthand understands my family. We talked, and we all mutually agreed that I go this once and see if I can mend things. If not, I can tell my mom and sister I tried, and we are done with the whole thing. And if the whole negative thing with my family keeps up, I will cut them off for good. So I accepted to go babysit. I went over to Chad's house around 8 p.m. As soon as I showed up, I was greeted by Chad's wife, who was extremely happy to see me. She was tired. You could just tell she had the "I have a 1-year-old" face going on. She talked to me for a few minutes about how happy she was I came over, and how she was glad to be going out with Chad. I kinda just listened to her go on and on before she finally got to the baby. Let's call him Seth. She explained to me his night routine, feeding, etc. Nothing too big. Then she got to the end where she started going on about how he was having crying fits at night and how he wouldn't get to sleep until mid-morning. I was a little meh on that, but all babies have different routines, I guess. She then said they would only be gone for about 4 hours and that they would be home around like 12:30, 1 at the most. After this, Chad shows up from their room, literally starts talking to his wife, looks at me and then just kind of looks me over for a minute and gives me a small wave and nod before heading out of the house. His wife follows and simply tells me to call her text if I need anything. For a minute, I was just stunned, but went to work to see Seth. Which was odd, because it was my first time seeing him in person and not in the photos that are hung around our parents' house. In person, he is the cutest little baby ever. He was fine the whole time, and he only cried because there was no one in the room, not because of the weaning. By this time, it was around 11:30, almost 12. I would check the clock every few minutes just to see what time it was. 12:30 rolled around, and I'm like, should I text them? And I'm like, no, let me give them another few minutes until I need to text them. I ended up texting both of them at 1, asking where they were because they did say they would be home by now. I got no reply from either of them. They finally show up at 3 in the morning. I'm livid at this point. Not even over having to take care of Seth for a longer period of time, but just because they never texted me back. Like, what if there was emergency or something? They walk into the living room and I'm just like, I texted asking where y'all were and no one answered. And Chad's wife starts saying, oh, Chad said it was fine and that it would only be an hour more. And I was like, you know what? It's fine. Whatever. Seth is sleeping. She looks at me all weird and I rolled my eyes, say, it's not the weaning that makes him cry at night. He gets lonely. He's clingy. Just let him know you are in the room when he starts crying and he will go right back to sleep. I started to walk out with my stuff. As I was right about to walk completely past Chad, I turned around and was like, so you aren't going to say anything to me? After I looked after your kid for like 7 hours now? He snorted at me and was like, no, my wife is the one who talked to me into this anyway. Mad at this point, I said, so this wasn't, I don't know, possibly a way to be able to apologize for high school? Or maybe all those other times you decide to outcast me from the family? Because I was under the impression that maybe you want to patch things up because of you asking me of all people to watch your kid. He sat there for a minute and just said, what should I apologize? Because literally nothing from high school has changed. Man, you really do need to just grow up and understand that me and my wife aren't going to cater to you like mom and dad did. Because you're adopted. You ain't our family and you won't ever be. At this point, I just got in my car and left. I ended up texting my mom about all of it, thinking she would get it in the morning when she woke up. No, of course she had to be awake. She apparently told Chad's wife about the conversation we had about all the stuff Chad had said and done to me in school. Apparently, his wife felt bad because she had an adopted sister too, and felt horrible that Chad had done and said all those things. Apparently, mom didn't know about Chad asking about the babysitting thing until now, and she started talking to the wife who is now upset. Apparently, she thought Chad would have changed since then and didn't think he will act the way he did when I left. I told my mom that I'm done with him and that if something ever happened with Seth, then I would be there, but I was done with them until that happens. Way things are going, I will most likely be cutting my whole family off because this isn't worth the stress anymore. You handled this great. You can defend your actions to your family and they can get off your back about Chad. So glad you don't need to cut off your family. I'm hoping I won't have to. I mostly say this because I truly do love just about all my other siblings. And I don't want to have to pick and choose who to stay in contact with because of Chad, my mom and my sister. I feel bad for Chad's wife. She sounds like she would be grateful for the family support, but Chad is gatekeeping for control. Maybe reach out to her and ignore Chad. Also, what does your brother think of his son? Honestly, she is extremely quiet for the most part and tries to stay away from any kind of contact or drama. I feel bad for her for being stuck in this whole thing, but sadly, I don't think I will talk to her again. The longest conversation we have ever had together was literally during this whole thing. As for my half-brother, he stopped pushing me into doing anything with Chad or related to Chad once I turned 20 and moved out. He told me I could do what I want. I know he's not happy with Chad, but I know he's not going to actually act and do anything about it. He more so acknowledges what Chad has done, holds him accountable, but doesn't make a move to say or do anything. He's doing a better job than my mom though, because he at least doesn't choose his side or tries to make an excuse to keep backing Chad. Can you ask your mom why she accepts Chad treating you like this? Let her know explicitly that it's hurtful that everyone seems to be okay with him treating you like this, even though it's ridiculous to have to explain. When I had a talk with her about all the stuff Chad did, she made it clear that she still loves Chad extremely, and that that's her son and grandbaby, and it's not going to change anything. Acting as if by me telling her what he did and how it hurt me was a cause to somehow make her choose which child to love or something. Even though it wasn't, and I made that clear. But clearly we see which one she chose. I also try to find out why she doesn't see the problem with how most of the family sees the whole thing, and I still can't get a clear answer as to why she's okay with it. Second update a month later. So it has been a hot minute since I last updated on the whole Chad situation. It's mainly due to the surprising fact that my family, my mother and sister, are not bugging me as much lately. The first day or two after the interaction with Chad was a bit hectic. Both of them are blowing up my phone, trying to get me to talk to them. Mostly my mom just making excuses for Chad, and my sister trying to basically just tell me to get over it. I ended up telling the both of them, in text and over the phone, and I would be cutting myself off completely from Chad and his little family. This sparked some anger, but my mother soon went quiet and later my sister. Everything seemed to be going pretty good after that for a while. That was until a week later when my sister showed up unannounced at my apartment demanding that I take the blessing of getting to be around Chad's sheltered child when no one else seemed to be able to. Basically acting like it was some huge honor that I was asked to babysit. I almost snapped. I wanted to call her a witch and to get off my property and not come back because I was just so sick of it. But I didn't. For my doorstep, I told her that if she wanted to see the baby so bad, just go over and see it. It wasn't my issue to deal with, then slammed the door in her face and watched her leave. It's been radio silent for a while now until earlier this week. I was scrolling on Instagram when I noticed that my oldest brother, the one that I get along super well and supported me about cutting Chad off, and his girlfriend of 4 years, the same age as me, are now engaged and posted pictures of the proposal. I noticed the post had been made last week, but no one had told me? Not even my mother? I texted my brother's girlfriend asking her about literally everything that was happening, and she was surprised because my mother had said she had told everyone in the family about the wedding. She then told me that they would be holding a family meeting at my parents' house to talk about the wedding plans, and I said okay. The meeting was for today around dinner time. I showed up and walked into the house and noticed that a lot of stuff was different decoration-wise. My parents had our family photos all arranged around the living room and a few random frames with multiple small photos in them as well. I noticed that they had replaced multiple small photos of specifically me from the frames and replaced them with now pictures of Chad and his wife, and my older brother and his girlfriend. What were maybe 6 pictures of me in any of the walls? There were 2 now, a baby picture of me and my senior high school photo that are now in the hallway, not even in the living room. I ignored it and didn't say anything. After a while, everyone showed up except for, of course, Chad, who my mom pulled the he wanted to spend time with his baby BS. They all started talking about the people plans of the party, aka people who were going to be key parts of the wedding cast. I tried my best to listen and take in all of what my brother's girlfriend was saying, and I noticed by the end of it all that my name was literally never added into any of the main plans. I wasn't mentioned at all. For another in the plans, that I started to question why I was there, if I wasn't going to be in the main plans of the wedding. I was kinda like, why not just send me an invitation then? I went home and texted his girlfriend asking about what had happened at a little meeting. Apparently, my mother had told her that I wouldn't want to be involved in any of the wedding stuff and that it wasn't my thing. She called me infeminine and that I wouldn't like doing any kind of bridal stuff because I'm not girly. She then said everything was set in stone now. My older sister is going to be a bridesmaid and my little sister is to be a flower girl. My little brother will be the ring holder and my other little brother and Chad will be groomsmen. And apparently my mother also told her that because of what happened with Chad, that I shouldn't be sat at a family table but at a guest table. I will just be another guest at the wedding. I didn't really say anything back because it hurt. It hurt that my mother would say that about me, that I was unfeminine, and that just because I myself didn't do a lot of girly things in my spare time, I wasn't going to be able or enjoy doing something like a wedding or be a bridesmaid. I can't believe she would say that about me. To be honest, I don't know if I'm even going to go. The wedding is scheduled for the end of the year. It sounds stupid and petty, but this hurt me. It hurt that I'm being outcasted, most likely due to Chad once again. As I'm typing this, my sister is texting me about how she's helping plan all the bride stuff. Honestly, I'm going to leave it off at this for right now, because I don't know how to even feel, if you know what I mean right now. What's your older brother's take on it? Does he know about you being excluded? We had a small talk about it, but he is in a hard spot now seeing as they have already finalized who they want on the wedding party. And I guess his fiancée had already talked to everyone who she wants on her bridal team. The one thing he said that he's going to try and get changed is the table seating, because he thinks that what my mom said about the whole Chad thing is stupid. He said that he will try and get me back at a family table just away from Chad and his family. Do you actually want to go to the wedding? It was the only other one I was actually wanting to go to. Not going to my older sister because of how mean she is to me, and she lets her boyfriend verbally bully me whenever he's near me. My little brother, who is 15, is being pressured into marrying his girlfriend once they turn of age, but not going to that. And the rest of my siblings are elementary school age. I guess I was just really excited because he's the only sibling that I actually get along with. Third update. I don't even know what to say. I didn't expect to update again so soon, but I just got the news from my older brother's fiancée. Chad's wife is pregnant again. Update. Am I the a-hole for not giving my brother a place to stay? Original post. A little backstory is imported here. I, 25 female, am the youngest of 4 and my parents' only daughter. My 2 oldest brothers, 37 male and 35 male, are the best. My other brother, 33 male, we will call him Adam for the story, literally hates my guts and always has. He has always hated how much attention I get from my dad, even though he gets babied by our mom. He would torture me when I was little by locking me in a closet or sitting on me until I couldn't breathe. I was sort of a brain in school and Adam bullied me constantly for it. But I finished high school when I was 16 and now I have 3 different degrees. I'm a private financial advisor and I've done well for myself. My 2 oldest brothers both own their own businesses and they have a comfortable life. Adam did not go to college, even when my parents offered to pay for it, and he's a bartender. He has never moved out of our parents' house because he spends every cent he makes. He has never paid bills either. He got fired from his 5th bar last week for being drunk during work. My parents wanted to have family dinner, but I was reluctant due to Adam always berating me and making fun of me. My dad said he really wanted this, so I gave in. When we were all at our parents' for dinner, my mother brought up the idea of Adam living in one of my rental properties. I only have 2, and one a family lives in and the other a woman and her daughter are about to move into, so both are occupied. I explained this to my mother, and Adam suggested I just break one of their leases and let him move in. I told him no. He asked why, and I said it was wrong, and also he isn't responsible, so I don't trust him to pay rent on time. He laughed and asked why he would need to pay rent. I told him to drop it, especially if he was expecting a free ride, but he kept pestering me and trying to persuade me. I finally told him it wasn't my responsibility to take care for him, and he needs to figure it out. I also told him he has never been kind to me, so he shouldn't feel entitled to anything. My mom started yelling at me, saying I was disrespectful and I need to help when family asks. I told her she created this monster so she can deal with it. I left shortly after. My mom and Adam have been blowing up my phone, calling me every name in the book. My dad and my other 2 brothers are on my side. Of course, Adam is telling anyone who will listen that my dad is just backing me up because I'm his favorite, and he's continuing to call me names. The drama is starting to mess with me and I just want peace. He sent me a text saying that I don't know what it's like being the black sheep, and I should help him when he's down because that's what family does. So I need an advised opinion. Am I the a-hole for not giving him a place to stay? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole from the beginning, but especially when he laughed and asked why would he need to pay rent. That, knew that was coming. I bet he doesn't clean either, and either mommy will do it or the property will be a total mess. Oh no, I've been in this situation. Your parents are sick of him. They don't want to deal with him anymore. Once he's in your rental home, he's going to be your responsibility. Do not do it under any circumstance. You should emotionally detach from all of this. Who cares who's on whose side or who says what? They're all trying to make him your responsibility. You are not his parent, nor even a co-sibling. It's manipulation, and once you emotionally can get to a place where you legit don't care what anyone has to say about it, then they'll figure out the great plan of dumping this grown man into your orbit so they can all relax and he'll be your problem is not going to work. It will go away. You're a smart woman. Continue being smart. You know you aren't the a-hole. Just stay strong. Thank you. I'm gonna stick to my guns and go no contact with my brother. Not the a-hole. Your parents are trying to get rid of him and make him your problem. He doesn't want to pay rent. How well do you think he would treat your property once he moved in? You worked hard for your properties. He's done nothing with his life, treated you poorly, and now wants you to help him? It's not your problem nor responsibility. Don't let that change. Not the a-hole. Your mom just wants him out of her house. Your properties have tenants who actually pay rent. Adam is not a black sheep. He is the a-hole. Yeah, I'm starting to see that now. They're tired of him. Not the a-hole. His unhinged reaction just proved why he'd be an awful freeloading roommate. The fact that he's never treated you well isn't going to change overnight under your roof. I see him being even more insulting and cruel when things don't go his way, or you ask him to clean up after himself. Your mom can pound sand too. She never took him to task when he was a bully to you at a younger age, and continues to cater to him now. She can house him on her dime. Now for the update half a month later. I want to thank you all for the kind and supportive comments. The past 2 weeks have been a huge roller coaster for my family. What I didn't mention in my first post was that I always felt weird about how protective my mother is of Adam. In my opinion, she took every opportunity to isolate him, but when I'd try to talk to him, he'd lash out. My older brothers feel the same way, but when they'd try and talk to Adam, he'd get angry. So my 2 oldest brothers and I were hanging out at my place when I heard banging on my door. It was Adam, and he was wasted. I let him sleep it off in my guest room, and I told him he'd have to leave when he sobered up. I went into the room after a few hours to check on him, and he was crying. He said our mother supplied him with alcohol it always does when he's home. He kept apologizing to me and sobbing. My brothers came in, and my oldest brother told him he needs to be honest and tell us what's going on. Adam admitted our mother has been treating him like her boyfriend since he was a teen. That's when she started giving him alcohol. It all clicked for me. Our dad worked constantly, so he wasn't home, and my mom would always say Adam was being punished for something while my brothers were allowed to go out. My mom would let me watch movies in my room all night long, and she'd disappear. Adam said she'd make him cuddle with her and have dinner with her like it was a date. She discussed her and my dad's marital problems with him. If he didn't comply, she wouldn't let him leave the house at all, and she'd continue to lie and say he was being punished. She told him over and over how none of us would believe him, so he never felt safe to tell us. She went as far as to steal from our dad and blame Adam, so our dad always thought Adam was dishonest. He said she never did anything sexual to him, but apparently that's why she wanted him to have my place, so they could be alone. He said she told him what to say to me, and made a statement about rent on purpose so I wouldn't do it. We hugged him for a long time and he just cried and apologized. My siblings and I were seeing red at this point, and we all agreed Adam needed to tell our dad. We invited my dad over and we stood with Adam while he told our dad everything. Our dad hugged Adam and kept apologizing to him, and he'd said he'd handle it. I don't know exactly what was said to my mother, but she moved out and is living in a hotel. My dad has already filed for divorce and she's not fighting him. We tried to talk to her, but she told us all to go to hell and that we took her one good thing away. She also said Adam belongs to her and she can do what she wants. It's taking everything in me to hold it together because she destroyed my brother with her crap and destroyed our relationship with him. Adam said he just wants to get better and he wants to be a family with us. I can't lie, I was really happy, and we are all so proud of him. He hasn't taken a drink since that night and he's currently in rehab. When he's done, he's going to move into a condo my dad is trying to buy. My dad is selling the family house, so he will be living with Adam so he isn't alone. Adam gets to call us every day and he always wants to talk to me. It's like we are getting to know each other for the first time, and it's been great. He keeps apologizing to me, but honestly, I've already forgiven him. I know this wasn't the update anyone was expecting, and I'm still in shock. I'm not going to update anymore. I'm just going to focus on our family's healing, and hopefully, we can all be in a good place one day. Man, I really was not expecting this update. There is a special place in hell for your mom. Shaking my head. I pray that Adam continues to get the help he needs, and your siblings continue to build a positive relationship. Your dad sounds like a rock star, by the way. Yeah, he's doing everything he can for all of us. I don't think it's really hit him yet. I feel like when it does, he will really need us. I would have your mom brought up on charges and a restraining order against her seeing your brother, or any of you. This woman is a pedophile. Her saying Adam was her one good thing and belongs to her is a huge red flag. She could escalate this to very dangerous levels. Adam does not want to do any of that right now. My dad's good friend is a cop, and he has been given all the details. I don't know exactly what will happen with that, but my dad isn't going to let this go. We are respecting Adam, and hopefully when he is in a better place, he will change his mind. I am so glad for Adam to get the help he desperately needs, and that you all are so supportive of him. He'll need all the family support you can give him. Your mom really messed him mentally up bad. This kind of thing will affect him for the rest of his life. Your mom is also mentally sick for doing this to him. I don't know if she can be arrested for what she did to him. He may be able to sue her for that mental state he's in. I'd check with an attorney to see if he has a case. Good luck to your family. Thank you. When he's further in his recovery, we are most likely going to pursue some form of legal action. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to buy baby items for my sister? Having a baby isn't the life I signed up for. Me 26 female and my 26 male boyfriend decided to be child-free. We have many reasons, and one of them is that we can't afford it. My younger sister, 25, had a baby not too long ago. Everyone got her everything she needed, including me, for the baby shower. She refuses to get a job, even a part-time one. She was so sure that she was gonna get like $1,000 in child support a week from her ex and was gonna live off that. That didn't happen. She gets under $200 every 2 weeks. She's been asking the family for help. Our older sister, 29, helps sometimes, but she doesn't like to. I've bought formula on one occasion because of course I'm not gonna let my nephew starve. Well, she keeps asking for more and more, and I told her I'm not paying for her baby. I can't afford it, and if I wanted to buy baby things, I'd have one of my own. The whole family blew up at me. Every single one is arguing with me, and only my boyfriend agrees with me. I just need some more opinions, I guess. She's asking for basic things like diapers, formula, wipes, the works. Nothing bad, but I'm not here to support a baby that isn't mine, and I can't afford. Am I the a-hole? Edit. She has food stamps. She says WIC isn't worth anything. She lives with our mother, who is also unemployed. If you're wondering how the bills get paid, my mother has an old man obsessed with her and he gives her bill money. Every now and then, he will give her $20 or $50. I've been telling her there's a factory in her town that has part-time with benefits. I literally gave her my old car for free when she had a baby. There's someone to watch her child if she does work. There's nothing stopping her. I can't answer her why she won't work. I know why our mom won't, lol. Now for the comments. She can get a job and support her child. Not the a-hole. Standing firm in your decision not to financially support your sister's choices is a valid and responsible stance. It's crucial for your family to understand the importance of personal accountability. You're not obligated to financially support your sister's choices. It's essential to prioritize your own financial stability. Stay firm in your decision. It's not your responsibility to cover her expenses. Of course, you are not the a-hole. For all of the family members who are blowing up at you, every time your sister calls you and asks you for something, tell her you can't, but you will text the rest of the family and tell them what she needs. And then do it. Every single time. They will get tired of it soon enough, and when they come back to you and tell you how it's your turn to help, you can tell them that you very specifically don't have children because A, you don't want them, and B, you can't afford them. Which means you certainly can't afford your sisters. But that if they'll get on her butt for her to get a job, you might be more inclined to give her a little bit of help. And then let it be. And every time somebody calls you to bitch about it, just tell them, you know how I feel. Talk to you later. And hang the phone up. Again, every single time. OP, I just saw your edit. The reason your sister won't work is because that is exactly what she has learned from your mother. Dare I say that you are gainfully employed and married simply because that's who you are. You are not following in your mother's footsteps. My brother-in-law, sister's husband, is a hard-working man who provides for his family. His parents don't appreciate him because that is not how he was raised. His brother, on the other hand, is a lazy bum who can't keep a job, just like their parents. And this is the guy the parents tout like he is the second coming. Last story. Am I the a-hole for canceling my own debt to my brother after he let his kids run amok with my art supplies? I currently owe my brother around $300. He fronted me some money for a family vacation and said I could pay him back in December, 3-paycheck month. My husband and I are hosting a small Thanksgiving this year with the family members who live within driving distance, and my brother's family arrived on Monday to stay through the weekend. His 2 kids, 3 and 6, are generally well behaved, but they're still kids, so I let him know to keep them out of the bonus room, currently half finished, and my craft room. You all know where this is going, so I just cut to the chase. I came home yesterday to find the kids played out on the living room floor, surrounded by art supplies in ruined condition. They were finger painting with my gouache and had completely cross-contaminated the colors, drawn in my good watercolor paper with Copic markers, completely crushing the tips of the markers as well, and ruined or dirtied several items that my friend had brought me from Korea. I confronted my brother who was nonchalantly watching TV, and he told me that he didn't let the kids go in the craft room. He had gone in himself and grabbed them just a couple things to entertain themselves with. He agreed to buy me replacements until I actually started tallying up the cost, and then backtracked and said the price was BS and started insisting that most of the stuff was still in usable condition. I said, fine, you don't have to replace anything, but you can forget about the vacation money. He snapped at me to not argue in front of the kids. I said, who's arguing? Sounds like the conversation is over. Now he wants me to pay the vacation money immediately and work out the replacing of the art supplies after. I feel like he's just going to try to haggle me, or is going to try to replace my stuff with Crayola and call it even. Tell him that he'll take advantage of the current Black Friday sales to replace the numerous items he's told to give to his kids. And he can have any remainder after you replaced his stolen, destroyed items with other identical products or equivalent, but no more expensive products. Not the a-hole. In the future, you might want to pick up a few kid craft items when you're hosting kids. Yes, it absolutely should be the parents' responsibility, but it can be hard to have everything when you're traveling with small kids. A $10 box of somewhat similar, but much cheaper things to entertain the kids will keep any decent parent out of the rest, and be met with gratitude, especially if you give them an idea about how expensive and or hard to replace your good stuff is. This is how I've dealt with my own nephews. I have stuff for them that is a small gift from Auntie Callie, often including bargain items and my own cast-offs, and only bits of my personal stuff they get to use are things that are hard to damage. I do have Play-Doh sets and Legos for the kids, but I will add some Crayola stuff once things have calmed down. Not the a-hole. It isn't your duty to entertain his kids. As a parent, I always brought activities for the kids. They're my kids, my problem. To be fair to the kids, it doesn't sound like they were misbehaving. It's the brother's fault for grabbing expensive things that weren't his and giving them to children. Exactly this. And if I wanted to invade a family member's craft supplies for my kids to use, I sure as heck wouldn't touch anything without asking permission first. Update. My mom stole $8,000 from me and opened credit cards in my name. Original post. I haven't talked to my mom for a little over 1 year now, but this is the story of my mom's lies. Growing up, my mom was always in and out of jail for stealing. Last time she was arrested was in 2015. I was 19 at that time. She always said she stole to provide for our family, but we never lived in a stable home. She would just blow money on expensive gifts and tell us, we aren't poor, we have this. How many poor kids have this? As we lived from hotel to hotel. Growing up, I became the financially responsible child. I worked multiple jobs, got good grades and community service. I was able to save up $8,500 for college with multiple scholarships. During my hard work in high school, I also helped my mom with bills and paying for whatever she needed help with. When I left for college, she was arrested again, and I had to be dropped off states away by my aunt for my first day of college. I asked my mom for my college money, and she said she would transfer the money when she got out. But when she got out, it all magically disappeared, and blamed my dead grandmother for stealing my money. In 2019, I discovered multiple credit cards and an apartment late on bills were opened in my name. I cried to my mom about all these issues, and she comforted me and asked for more money, which I gave. I graduated with my BA and went to grad school. I was able to be in grad school for 1 year with my saving before I needed to take Grad Plus loans out. I applied, but was denied due to all the negative items on my credit score. My mom told me to just pay it off. I didn't, and just dropped out instead. I was devastated, but I wasn't going to pay for other people's fun ride. I called all the credit companies and got the address for all the credit cards. It was my mom's address. When confronted, she broke down saying it was my grandmother, and how dare I blame her for this. She demanded an apology and didn't speak to me for a week. My grandmother died before all the credit cards were open. I've now filed a police report against my mother. She doesn't know yet, but when she finds out, I am sure I will receive the best kind of text message. We stopped talking for another reason. Edit for all the comments. I have not spoken to my mother for over a year now, and she has been blocked and everything. The reason we do not talk is on a previous post I made about how happy I am my boyfriend ruined my relationship with her. To the comments asking about why I kept giving her money, it was hard. It was either help with the bills or have no electricity, water, gas, a roof over mine and my brother's head. I didn't want to be homeless again, and I didn't want my brother to suffer either. I felt like I needed to help my family because for so long, I had a mentality that blood was thicker than water. I know now it isn't my responsibility. I was just young and thought I was doing the best I could to provide for my family from the ages of 16 to 23. I'm 26 now. As for the credit stuff, I have gotten a good amount taken off. Only 2 cards and 1 bill are on my credit score. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Put a fraud report on all 3 credit companies. Go to annualcreditreport.com and pull your history. Challenge all fraudulent accounts. Then, open a savings account that she doesn't know about and a bank she doesn't use. Actually, try credit union for lower fees. Good luck, OP. It'll be hard, but you will persevere. Oh, thank God. As a banker, I'm so relieved to hear that you filed a police report against your mother. This way, once she's charged and or convicted, you won't be liable for the fraudulent charges and can get your credit rectified as well. As I'm sure you already know, this behavior just isn't entitled, but it's also criminal. It's rough being the irresponsible one when our parents aren't. You may find that you have several things in common with the sub r/raised by narcissists. Freeze your credit now. Please, please, please prevent her from doing anything more. If you need to apply for something, then you can unfreeze it, and then freeze it again once the loan process is done. Freeze it, please, to prevent her from doing more damage. Do you have siblings? Check their credit as well. Then freeze theirs as well. I wish I could upvote this more than once. My mother did something similar to me, OP. Once that trust is broken, you just have to protect yourself going forward. Freeze down your credit and regularly pull your reports. You get 1 free report per year from each of the 3 major bureaus. So what you do is you pull one in January, pull the next one 4 months later, and then pull the 3rd report 4 months after that. And you're basically continuously monitoring your credit. It's easy to do a temporary freeze lift. I recently bought a house, and I told the lender that my credit was frozen. And they didn't even skip a beat. They just told me to let them know when it was lifted and they would do their thing. I just set it up for like a 2-day period, and then it automatically reinstated. It was so easy. Now for the first update. So this may not be the updates everyone wanted to hear. I didn't get justice. She hasn't been arrested, and no charges at this time. I still do have a police report, but I'm not gonna push the police to go make an arrest. So this update is just more information I have recently discovered. More context. It wasn't just always my mom, my brother, and I. When I was born, I shared a small 3-bedroom apartment with my grandmother, her husband, my aunt still in high school, my mom, me, and then my little brother followed. My aunt went no contact with the family in her later 20s, and I never knew why. It hurt to lose someone I was close with. But I heard horrible rumors of things my aunt was doing for my mom, and my mom would also let me know awful things my aunt was saying about me. My aunt was on and off in my life after this no contact. Well, fast forward to present, I reached out to my aunt to meet her. We talked and got everything cleared. My mom stole my aunt and her father's identity. My aunt had a lot of debt she didn't know about, and when she found out it was my mom, she pressed charges. This was the 2nd time she was arrested. My aunt's husband, who was a cop, arrested her. I knew he hated my mom but never knew why. My aunt then gave me a list of family members whose identities she also stole, and everyone in the family knew it would happen to me and my little brother. The issue was, how were they going to stop her? She was our mom. My aunt told me she wished my mom would have given us up, so my brother and I could have lived with her and had a normal life. I don't know why, but those words broke me so much. To know I had family that knew we were being hurt, but couldn't do much to help us. To know they wanted to save me and my brother. My aunt then proceeded to tell me my father tried to go to court to have my social security number changed and locked till I was 18. This way, my mom couldn't steal my identity. It obviously didn't work, and here I am. She told me how happy and proud she was of me. She told me she struggled when she went no contact because she felt like she left her babies behind, and she was afraid of how we would turn out. I love my aunt, and I'm so happy I reached out. And I'm even more angry with my mom now. How badly she isolated us into her own delusional world and in the end destroyed our relationship. I told my aunt I didn't care that we struggled in poverty. I don't blame mom for that, but I blame her for how she handled it and put so much pressure on 2 children to become billionaires for her to continue her reckless spending. Get a lawyer. Let them help you sort out your identity fraud issues. Maybe they can get the police to do something since your mom is a repeat offender. I'm assuming you've put a fraud alert on your credit already. They might not be able to. So when you call the credit bureau, they ask a bunch of questions to verify your identity, including questions about previous addresses, loans, accounts, and such. If egg donor was doing for a while, then they might not know what all information they've used. They need to start with the SSA first and get a new one. They'll issue a letter stating that OP was a victim of identity theft, and that along with a police report will help. It happened to my brother. It wasn't our parents, but someone stole his identity. And he found out when he went to open an account at a bank and was declined because the bank said he had several accounts that were overdrafted, loans that were unpaid, and cars and houses that were repoed. That's so awesome that you were able to reconnect with your aunt. Also, screw your mother. It is absolutely awful what she has done to you and your family. She could have ruined your future and others. She almost did ruin your future. I would suggest to go no contact with her. The fact that she first did this to her family and has done it to you as well means she does not care how this will affect others. So try to do what your aunt did and find a way to protect your brother from this, or at least warn him about this. I have a feeling you won't be the last person she does this to. I have told my brother about it, and he doesn't seem to really care. Maybe doesn't understand would also be a better phrase. He lives with my mom rent-free, but all the bills are under his name. So she pays for the apartment they live in together, but it's under his name. My mom didn't have my brother paying for any bills growing up, and he had way more freedom than I did. I love my brother and I hope he gets out, but my hopes are low. If you ever hope to buy a home, you need to file charges against your mother. I had a friend whose mother did this to her, a single parent with a child, and because she didn't want to be responsible for sending her mother to prison, she decided to close the card and pay it. She never saw a financial advisor. She only spoke to the credit card company, who of course encouraged her to pay it. We live in New York City and none of us ever have any hope of buying a home, but it was difficult for her son to pay for college because she couldn't co-sign on his loans. It's been years of paying off her mother's debt and outlandish interest. Please don't do this. Update 2. I am a ball of rage. I had recently unfreezed my credit account to apply for Care Credit to get an emergency surgery done. In not even 2 months of unfreezing my credit, my mom applied for a new credit card in my name. I'm done. I always had a piece in me that didn't want to press charges or push for it because it was rough times in our lives and I knew she was struggling to raise us. But now I see no excuse other than she just doesn't want the responsibility of living within her means. It has been 2 to 3 years of no contact. 1, I would like to say F you, Chase Bank. The card was being opened with them, and when I called to let them know it wasn't me, they told me they will see if they can close the account, but need a police report first. I asked for the address to confirm it was my mom, and they kept denying my request for the address. I only got it confirmed after I told the operator if I guessed the damn address. Would you just give me a yes or no? He agreed, and it was my mom's address. I am away for surgery for a while, but when I get back home, I'm going to the police and request to speak with the prosecutor. I'm done. I'm hurt and done. I did my best to raise my credit score to where it is now. I did my best to work multiple jobs to help with bills. I did my best to be her emotional support, no matter how bad she treated me. I feel like this next step will be cutting this one string I left connected to her out of sympathy. And of course, it led me to being taken advantage again. I hope to give an update on if the courts will be on my side. Good. To be honest, you should have filed a police report the minute you found out they were doing these things in your name. It is fraud to the max, and you've got a hot case. To be fair, OP did file a police report the first time, and it didn't go anywhere. They should have had their social security number changed after the first time, along with going to the police. And they should have put more pressure on the police to follow through with the charges. It seems like they didn't want to do their job. Just think of it this way. With every day you wait on filing criminal charges, things get worse for everyone including you and your mom. First off, it is going to get harder and harder to recover every time she makes a successful incursion. Look at it from the bank's point of view. They know you know about your mom's propensities. At some point, they are going to stop working with you. Chase is already at that point. They have lost a ton of money due to your failure to prosecute. And from their point of view, you have taken advantage of that. They may even allege that you are in on it. Second, your mom is delusional and will not stop. The fact that she swooped in so fast and got more credit suggests that she's persistently trying to access your credit even though she has failed on multiple attempts. The thing is this, the longer this goes on, the harsher the penalty will be in the long run. Prosecuting her now might get her to stop, which would mean that she doesn't end up spending the rest of her life in prison. At this point, with a decent public defender, she might end up on probation, which would likely include a very close eye on any further attempts to gain access to credit. She will not stop on her own. Sooner or later, you must pull the trigger, or you risk further financial devastation and possibly criminal charges yourself. Sooner is better, for everyone including your mom. Edit. I'm sadly states away from this surgery, which is why I'm waiting till the surgery's over and I'm back home recovering. I don't know if I can file this report in the state I am in, and it still be effective in the state I live in. I know jurisdiction can be a problem. Thank you for the advice, everyone. I will be pressing charges right away. My boyfriend is an attorney, but doesn't work in a public area. I do have friends from my law school days that actually work in our county prosecutor office, so I may reach out to them for some advice. They just passed the bar, but are slowly getting into the routine. I also don't like to bring this up much to passive friends, because it's just embarrassing. My mom and I haven't spoken in almost 2 years. It feels so long ago I really don't know the timeline. Questions why haven't I pushed for charges before, and why do I keep letting this happen? I don't really know if many will understand, but I have been conditioned to fear my mom. From a young age, she would punish me for not acting, speaking, or thinking a certain way. If she thought I had a negative thought about her, I was hit and yelled at. I had to beg and cry and comfort her that it wasn't true. After it was over, I would have told my mom and comfort her through the tears. The fear has been also real even after cutting contact. It has stopped, thankfully, but I have been afraid that if I make this move, it will start again. What do I mean? She threatened to get my boyfriend and friends expelled from law school if they kept associating with me. We had to call the school and have a talk about my mom. She then threatens to report me to the IRS for tax fraud, but I always paid my taxes. She even sent messages to my workplace. When I was a kid, I would be in the backseat as she drove past houses of people she hated, over and over to see what they were doing. That fear that she could find where I live and do this makes my stomach turn. I was afraid to push for these charges in the past because I wanted to leave it behind and continue the peace I was having. She stopped. I removed all those nasty things on my credit, and I was happy. Until now. Now I know it will never stop. After 4 years of not opening anything in my name, she went back to it. So I'm putting my foot down and taking the step. I understand I should have pushed more earlier than I do. I was scared and naive, but I'm gonna stop it today. Last update until I get back home. I called my local police department back home, saying I have an update for the identity theft report I reported in 2021. They transferred me over to the detective office and said I would need to come in to make another report. I told them I am currently waiting to finish a surgical procedure and will not be back home for a few days. They said it was fine, so at this time I will not be able to make the report until I get back home. But I'm also happy because they said I can talk to the detective when I came in to file the other report. So I hope to be making a part 4 by the end of next month with some good news. Update 3. Well, it's just been a mix of emotions these past few days. 1. My surgery went well and my recovery should be complete by next week. I feel super good. 2. I got cancer. Didn't expect this one. Skin cancer, which is super easy to treat and to prevent if I keep up with doctor appointments. I got this weird wart removed, then got a call right before I go into surgery saying it was cancer and I would need to come in for some more testing and body check. I would like to thank my mom for having me in a tanning beds at 13. She said I was super ugly pale, and I believed her. She also didn't want people to think we didn't travel for spring break. So while spring break, I would be in a tanning bed to look like we traveled and wear sunscreen as kids. 3. I got a puppy. 4. I went to the police today and filed a report. Spoke to the detective too. I gave them all of mine and my mother's information. They asked if I would like to press criminal charges, and I said yes. They are going to call the credit card company to pull the report. And if Chase Bank gives them the report without a subpoena, then we will have an easy charge and closing of the case. If Chase Bank wants a subpoena, then it will take longer to close this. I'm super happy I finally did this, and to hear that they may actually have charges to press against her. So once I have more of an update, I will post again. but it looks like it may be a couple of months before we get somewhere. Thank you everyone for the comments, messages of support and kindness. I'm super happy where I am in life. Also, I did talk with my brother. He knows and is aware of the situation. He doesn't seem to care about his credit, but he is also still young. I'm sure he will understand soon and hopefully get us taken care of. Jesus, this has been an ordeal for you. I'm glad there's some good news in there, and I hope you get some resolution soon. I also wish you luck with your cancer treatments. This part made me angry for you all over again. I knew I would get skin cancer. My mom had me in tanning beds from 13 to 17. It was just a waiting game. But skin cancer isn't deadly if I keep up the visits, and I'll still be able to have a healthy life, so I'm not too worried. I'll know more about my cancer and treatment in 15 days. Just keep on top of your health. Your mom sounds like someone you'll never want in your life, even as a friend. Please go to all credit bureaus and lock down your social security number, and encourage your brother to also. It will prevent people from opening credit cards in your name. I am sorry your mom violated your trust. Edit? I kinda chuckle when I read your comments commenting on my mom as an egg donor, because the surgery I just came back from was egg donation. I was donating my eggs to a gay couple I was close with at my job. They are a very sweet couple and know my family history. I've donated my eggs many times to other couples, but it makes me chuckle a little to see you call her an egg donor after coming from an egg donation cycle. Anyway, police called to let me know they will be going to see her today or Tuesday to talk about the theft. If she admits to it, then we will have an easy case. I told them on the phone she won't admit to stealing. She would just blame someone else. The detective wanted to know if she had a drug problem. I told him no, that she just can't live within her means. If I get a call back that she has been arrested, I will let you know. Now for the fourth update. I got a call this morning from the detective who wanted to hear my side of the story again. I told him my mom's history with theft. I told him I filed once in 2021 and nothing happened. How I found this inquiry and how she did it the moment I unfreeze my credit. He asked what did I want him to do. I told him I would like charges made. He asked if he goes to her place will she admit to this crime. And I told him no, because when I confronted her about this, she had blamed my grandmother. Apparently, the woman had powers beyond the grave to open these cards in my name. He asked if she was a substance user. I told him no. She just doesn't know how to live within her means. He said I will be going down today to interrogate her. If she admits to it, she will be booked right there. If she doesn't, then they will just need a Chase credit report. I'm planning to go to Chase to grab the report and hand it to them myself tomorrow. I asked if she would know our address. He said if we go to court, my address would be submitted as evidence against the identity theft, so she would know where we lived. Thank God we are renting right now. So we agreed if we go to court, we will see how long her sentence is and plan to move out before she is released. We know she will serve time because this is her fourth time, and the judge will have no sympathy on a mom doing this to her daughter. Maximum punishment in the US is 15 years, but she always takes the plea deal, so I can see her serving either a couple of months or a year. It has been a couple of hours, and my stomach feels like it is doing flips. My head is so dizzy, the air feels so much heavier. I feel sick. I've been waiting by my phone for a call, an update, something. Did she admit it? Is she booked? What is happening next? The detective then gave me the report number and I called Chase Bank. Chase apparently hadn't processed the application, but after my call, it was out on hold until further investigation. With my report, I was able to have it denied and removed from my credit score. So I have confidence I can go into the bank tomorrow and snag that report. I apologize for any grammar mistakes here. I feel so lightheaded. I'm on edge right now. I'll update again once I've heard back from the police. Now for more advice before reading the final updates. I'm sorry you're going through this. Unfortunately, you are far from alone. Many crimes of identity fraud are perpetrated by parents on their children. I had a coworker a long time ago who never paid her utilities, and it was about to get shut off. She then put them in her kids' names, one by one, racking up a bill and then not paying. I said, what about ruining your kids' credit? And she said they can contest it if it's still there when they're adults, because they were 7 and 8 when the utilities were put in their name, and they can claim it was random identity theft. Spoiler alert, her now 30-something daughters never had a job and just had a 5th kid with yet another baby daddy. Guess what she does with her utilities? I guess it's a family tradition. Intergenerational transfers are insane. My partner is a social worker, and with the majority of families she works with, the parents had social services involved as children. In a few cases, involvement goes back 4 to 5 generations, although a generation is a much shorter unit of time for these families, with a few great-grandmothers not yet 60. You didn't ask for help, but I offer some anyway. What you are feeling is completely valid and reasonable response to the stress of the situation. But please don't forget your body's needs. Take a shower, or if possible, a bath. Eat something small at least and try to rest, with any ringer on high. Anxiety and stress like this, while valid, is not good for you. Try to relax and take care of basic needs. The law is involved now. You have your proof. At this point, there is nothing you can do until tomorrow. If it helps, write it all down on paper and try to leave the thoughts there. Please take care of yourself. Now for the last updates. So this isn't the updates a lot of people want to hear. Police showed up Friday to talk to my mom. She denied everything and said she doesn't even speak to me, which is true as we haven't spoken in 2 years. That Friday I got logged out of my Experian, which is weird, but didn't think too much of it. Yesterday I decided I would use my downtime to get back into my Experian account, thinking I forgot my username and password, plus signed up with an old email. I get back into my Experian and everything is different. Different email, different phone number, and username. Like someone just wanted to control my credit file, so I wouldn't be able to access any more information. I saved the email and phone number. I just got off the phone with a detective, and they will investigate this too. If it linked to her and shows up, then we have a closed case. If not, they said they will need to wait for more evidence to come in really. My boyfriend and I talked. We don't want more evidence to come in and be on high alert. So I'm hoping this time with all my evidence, I will be able to change my social security number. I tried back in 2021, but was denied because I didn't have evidence of it being constant harm. So I'm hoping this will help. I don't know if I will have another update on this. We sadly are moving, since our address was linked to my Experian. I also get spam calls asking to speak with my mom, or text with her name. Why I haven't changed my number? I tried in 2022, but the damn AT&T people ignored my request and kept my number the same. Plus, everything was quiet last year. So I'm going to try to change it again. Also, I know this is a question. How did she get into your Experian? I have the same 4 passwords I use for everything. She knows 2 of them. Every time I am requested to change password, I would just rotate those 4. I know, how stupid. I've now changed all my passwords to something she would never guess, and I'm better protected. If I do have an update, I will share, but it looks like this may sadly be it. I'm sorry this isn't a happy ending we all wanted. I wanted justice too. But please know I am happy even during those rough times. I have been super happy since no contact with my mom. I have an amazing found family and friends. It's funny my favorite movie was Meet the Robinsons as a child. How the ending wasn't exactly what the protagonist wanted, to be happy with his birth family. But I'm happy I kept moving forward and met my new family. I have so much love in my life now. I couldn't have asked for more. Final update. The police just gave me a call again. The number was linked to her, but she told the officers she helped me set up the account when we were talking, so of course her number is linked, which is 100% lie. The officer told me straight that if we didn't stop the inquiry and allowed her to use that card for a couple of weeks, we would have been able to book her, since they would have evidence the card was delivered to her address and was using it. So this is truly the end. Thank you all for support and love you sent my way. I hope everyone has a great rest of their week. Not even 2 months of unfreezing my credit, my mom applied for a new credit card in my name. I'm done. Imagine just brute force attempting identity fraud every few months, and against her own child. Poor Opie has had a rough go of it. I wish her nothing but luck from here on out. She has a tough journey ahead. I always feel bad when one has to fight against a parent, when that parent should have been there with you in your difficult times, not making your life difficult by their own actions. You would think. But some parents think that you are merely an extension of themselves, and therefore, all of this stuff is a non-issue. It is as it should be. Try to call them on this BS, do as much as you can to try and make it register, and you are the bad guy. And they just go back to doing whatever after some nice platitudes to make you feel better. Situations like this are asymmetric, because the perp is a crappy person, while the victim has humanity. So the perp gets to benefit from the humanity of the victim. The victim hesitates to do something that will hurt the perp, even at their own expense. In these credit theft situations, it's always the case that hesitation on the part of the victim simply results in the perp taking even more advantage of them. But generally, the victim has to learn that the hard way, after the perp has taken a wire brush to the victim's humanity, leaving it raw and bleeding. Yep, it sucks with identity theft because it's so common to happen with family members. And then victims really don't want to report it because they're scared of getting family in trouble. Especially when the family is likely already in a precarious position from financial instability. And then the person who screwed them over just gets away with it. This is truly the end. Doubt it, but I'm glad Opie is finally standing up to her mom. I think when she says that's the end, they mean the end of the police looking into the case. Because why put an effort? Update. I just found out that my dad who has neglected me isn't my bio dad. Original post. I'm male 17, mom 38, dad 40. My parents were young when they got married. My mother is a stay-at-home mom and works part-time while my dad is a software developer. I'm the oldest of 4 siblings. I've been treated like the black sheep in the family since I can remember. Birthdays? Never had any. Just a cupcake from my mom and no presents. I wasn't allowed to have friends over. Christmas was never something I looked to. At most, I would get some socks while I had to look at the presents my dad, aunt, uncles, and grandparents gave my siblings. New bikes, latest fashion clothes, phones, game consoles, games. You name it, they got it. The same for their birthdays. Big parties. Their friends and family would show up and shower them with gifts. I was never allowed in family trips and vacations. I was left behind to stay with grandparents who were strict in everything I did. And sometimes they would just call on someone else to pick me up while I was supposed to stay with them. My mom got a part-time job when I was 13, and with that, she would sometimes ask if we could just spend a day together while dad and my siblings were out, even though it was just to get ice cream. When I was at home, I mostly stayed in my room and studied. It didn't matter how well I did in school or sports, my dad showed no interest. I was able to get some money by tutoring. That, along with I managed to get a part-time job at food court and a grocery store, meant I spent less time at home. Over the years, my mental health got worse and worse because of maintaining good grades, doing well at sports, working 2 part-time jobs. My mom helped me find a therapist who has helped a lot. Yesterday I came home from work late, tired and just wanted to go to bed. I opened the door to hear my mom arguing with my dad and aunt about me in the living room. I could hear my aunt saying that I should be grateful, more grateful towards my dad. Then they saw me in the doorway and stopped. My mom and dad looked like they had seen a ghost. Well, my aunt announced, and in comes the bastard. I was shocked to hear her say that. I know she did not like me and mostly ignored me when we were in the same room. But I got angry and just asked her to repeat what she had said. My dad quickly stopped her, but no, I wanted to know what I should be grateful about. So I asked what was going on. No one said anything for a while, so I asked again, be grateful about what? Being ignored, neglected, abandoned while my siblings are spoiled and play happy family with dad? As soon as I said dad, my aunt just yelled that I was not his son. I was shocked by what she said, and I asked my dad if it was true. He looked at me and just said, I'm sorry. I didn't know what to say. I looked at my mom and she said nothing. I left to my room and just started crying. Later, my mom found me on the floor shaking and crying. She helped me up and stayed with me until I fell asleep. I woke up this morning and called in sick. I barely left my room today. I just feel like everything I have done to make the man I called dad proud or just to acknowledge me has been a waste of life. I wish that I had known years ago. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Wow, I am so sorry. That should not have been hidden from you. At least you could have understood their nasty treatment of you better. Also, that your mother allowed this is, to be honest, disgusting. Why the heck did she allow this? Why did they lie to you? It doesn't sound like they were in North America. And in far too many places around the world, a woman who's pregnant outside of marriage will be treated abominably. I'm wondering if she was pregnant and Opie's stepdad was willing to marry her, with certain conditions, in order to ensure she and her child had some measure of protection. It's all speculation. We can't know any of it. But I sincerely hope OP is able to talk things through with his therapist and work to build a good life that doesn't include all these people who've treated him with such contempt. He deserves better. He didn't ask to be born into this situation. OP, I'm so sorry they've treated you so poorly all your life. I hope your mom is able to tell you more about what happened when you're ready to hear it. Save up and move away from your stepfather and all of the horrible family as soon as you can, and build a good life for yourself. Your life and value are not defined by what these people call you. I apologize for what occurred to you. You must attend treatment sessions and prioritize your well-being. You must leave the house and your poisonous relatives behind. It's in your best interest. Now for the first update. After I put up this post, I had to get out of the house. I want to be alone for a while, and the thoughts of ending things became too hard to ignore. So, I called up my best friend and he picked me up. We went for a drive and I told him what had happened yesterday. He just listened while I just cried and told him everything. He knew my father was like this, but not the extended family. I have never seen him so angry before. He had to pull over so he could calm down. I showed him the post and he was silent for a while. After a few minutes, he told me that no matter what, I was his best friend. And he asked if it would be okay if he could maybe talk to his parents about me staying at his place for some time. I said yes. He dropped me off and we got out of the car. We talked for a bit, and before he left, he gave me a hug and just said whenever I felt alone that I should give him a call. When I entered the house, I ignored everyone. First, I would like to thank everyone for your comments. Though I have not responded, I read through all of them. Not only have they been helpful towards to see things differently, but to do the best to stay strong until I move out. You are right. This man is not my dad/father, and I will no longer see him like that anymore. I will try and get some answers on why I'm being mistreated. Why after all these years, no one told me anything. And the most important for me right now, who is my real bio father? Is he alive? Does he know I exist? And to clarify one thing, I have no idea who anyone on my mother's side of the family is. And therefore, I have no contact with them. My 18th birthday is in the end of the summer, and I will be moving out that day or even sooner if I have the opportunity to do so. Second update. So a lot has happened in these few days, and I am conflicted about many things right now, but I'm hopeful that I can start to heal mentally. On Thursday, before I left for work in the grocery store, my father, whom I will refer as Kevin, called out to me and I responded by saying, "Yes, Kevin." And he looked confused because I've always called him Dad before. After a bit of silence, I asked what, quite bluntly. He didn't respond and told me it was nothing, so I went to catch the bus. When I got home late in the evening, my mom wanted to know why I called Kevin by his first name. I told her he never treated me as anything close to a son, so why should I call him Dad anymore? She had no answer and she told me he was hurt by it. I wanted to scream when she said that. Yesterday, I had an appointment with my therapist, and I cannot put into words how much she has helped me over the years. And later, my best friend called me to let me know that I could stay with them if I wanted. So this morning when I woke up, my mom was already awake and making breakfast. I asked her if we could talk alone today and it was important. She agreed to talk after breakfast because Kevin had to go to work shortly after. After Kevin left, she told my siblings to not enter the kitchen for a while. I'm paraphrasing a bit because it was a long conversation. We sat down and I found it hard to get the words out at first. But I told my mom that I can't get over the fact that for all these years how I have been treated and neglected by Kevin at his side of the family, and she watched it happen and I need to know why. At first, she tried to dodge the question and gave the same answer as always. But I didn't give up and told her that this was important to me, and again she tried to dodge it. So I told her that I can't do this anymore. I was going to pack up some of my stuff and move out, and until she was ready to tell me the things I needed to hear, we would not be on speaking terms. She started to tear up and just told me how sorry she was and kept on saying I am so sorry over and over. It hurt me in that moment to see my mom cry, and I tried my hardest to keep my emotions in and I asked her again why. After some time when she calmed down, she told me what happened. When she was 20 and in university, she had a boyfriend whom she had been with for 3 years. They shared an apartment along with his best friend. They were out clubbing when they had an argument because she wanted to stay but her boyfriend wanted to go home and he left. Both her and the best friend were really drunk, and she cheated on her boyfriend with his best friend at the club. The next day she woke up and realized what she had done. So after a few days, she and his best friend confessed about the affair, and her boyfriend broke up with her. Her ex contacted her parents, and he told them what she had done. Her parents called her furious, and told her she was not welcome back home and took away her financial support. So she had to move out. She lost a lot of friends and had nowhere to stay. She had to live in her car for some time. When she realized she was pregnant, she didn't know what to do. She went back to the apartment to find out her ex and his best friend no longer lived there. She tried calling and texting them, but they didn't pick up the phone or answered any of her messages. She got a job at a cafe house, and there she met Kevin. He was a regular customer, and they got to know each other. Kevin asked her out, and even though she told him she was pregnant, he didn't care at the time. Kevin's parents were not happy about the idea that their son was dating a pregnant woman and a cheater, and threatened to cut him out of their lives. Kevin got scared and was going to break up with my mom, but she begged him not to and promised to be the perfect wife and have his kids. They made plans to get married soon after I was born. Kevin never showed any interest in me when I was born, but my mom lived with the hope that one day he would. After hearing all of that, I didn't know what to say for a while. After thinking for a moment, I asked if she had at any point tried to contact my possible bio father. She said no, and the timeline would place her affair partner to most likely be my bio father, but she can't be 100% sure. I asked her if she ever tried to reconnect with her side of the family. She tried to contact them when she was about to get married, but her parents, siblings, aunts, and uncles didn't want to see her, so she gave up. I asked her why Kevin was hurt by me calling him his first name. She told me he has been seeing a therapist for the last 2 years because he has been suffering from depression and guilt. I was surprised when she told me that it started when I was 15. I came home after a handball game where we won, and I was awarded man of the match. And I was so happy and excited to tell them about it. She, of course, was happy for me, but Kevin just said to put my award with others in my room. I started to cry in front of him and ask, "Why do you hate me?" He didn't reply, and I went into my room and cried all night. After that, he felt sad. Like something had stabbed him in the chest, and it didn't go away. It only grew. My mom told him to go see a therapist. He relented, and after some time the therapist got through to him. For the past few years, he has been living with his guilt and he has been afraid to confront it. So when I called him by his first name, he realized that he had lost me. The next question is I was afraid to ask, but I asked if he ever abused her. She told me he has never mistreated her. She told me that Kevin has only ever loved her. The only time he ever questioned her about anything was when she was pregnant with my younger brother, and he asked for a paternity test which she understood. When it came back positive, he apologized and he didn't ask about my other siblings. The last question. I asked her why I was left with people who harmed me physically, mentally, and emotionally while they went on trips and vacations. She was shocked to hear about the physical harm and asked me about it. I told my mom that I never said anything at a time because I was afraid of Kevin's family members when it happened. I told her everything I remember, but here are some of the things they did. My grandparents would scold me loudly and hit me when I was younger. My aunt never spoke to me unless she needed a favor, only to then go back to ignoring me and told me to stay in the guest room. When I was 14, my father took the family to a 2-day trip to Croatia and left me with his older brother. He asked me to go to the store to buy some stuff, and of course I said yes. When I came back, he opened the door and took the bags and locked me out of the house. I sat there crying until he had all finished with her dinner, and then he let me in. She cried the whole time I was telling her everything. She told me how sorry she was. She knew they didn't like me, but this was just hate. After the conversation, she asked if I was going to move out and where. I told her I was planning on it. And as to where, I will not tell her because I don't want Kevin to know where I would be staying. She started to cry again, and again it hurt to see her cry. The conversation was long and lasted for several hours, but these are just the main points. After that, I went to my room to clear my head and think. About an hour later, someone knocked at my door and I told them to open. It was Kevin who opened the door. He asked if he could enter and I said yes. It was the first time since I can remember he ever entered my bedroom. He looked around for a bit, looked at a shelf where I keep all of the awards and trophies from school and sports. He was both surprised and sad when he saw the medals from when I did track and field and played football, then stopped when he saw the small man of the match award and picked it up. He held it for a while and started to tear up, put it back and sat down on the bed. Neither of us said anything for a while. I asked if Mom had told him what we had talked about. He was still tearing up and slightly nodded his head. I asked him if he was aware how I see him. He nodded again and whispered yes. "So you know the extent in what your parents and siblings have put me through?" He looked me in the eyes and asked if it was true. I said yes, and he just started full-on crying. After a while, he stood up and hugged me. This was both the first time he has ever hugged me and cried in front of me before. I just hugged him back and started to cry. He didn't want me to let go, and he said how he was sorry for the pain he put me through, for the years of neglect, for treating me like an outsider, and he begged me not to move out. When he finally let go, he asked to be given a chance. I told him that maybe with time I could forgive him and Mom, but they had to earn it. But I won't forgive his family for the things they had done. Also, for now he was still Kevin. He is hurt by it but accepted. For now, I am not moving out, but if things go back to the way it was, I will not hesitate to leave and he knows it. We are going to see a family therapist together. I will in the future try and reach out to my biological father, but I don't know about my maternal family side. I'm on the fence with them. I called my friend and told him what happened, and he says the door will always be open at his place. We know each other since we started school and we both play for the same team. I know his parents well, and they are lovely people. I know many of you want me to move out as soon as possible, but I told them I would like to give them this one chance. And that is what I will do for the moment. Honestly, I'm not scared that things will just go back to how things have been. I've been saving all of my money since I started working. To those who have been sending virtual hugs, here's a virtual hug back and thank you. Thank you for all the comments and support. Now for the last update. Firstly, I would like to thank all of you who have messaged on the last post and privately. I would like you to know that I am safe, and I'm at my friend's house. They are willing to let me stay with them long term. These messages have not only opened my eyes, but also to see my mom and Kevin for the people that they truly are. Both of them do not love me and do not care. I've had people telling me stories of childhood abuse and neglect and how they got out. Every time I have tried to talk to mom and Kevin about the abuse, tried asking my mom how she can happily leave me behind and not doing anything about it, they just try to avoid the questions and love bomb me instead of saying that things will change. What really got me was this morning. I got a message saying to ask how my mom never noticed any bruises when they picked me up after travels and vacations. That sealed the deal for me. There is no way for someone who supposedly cares for you not notice. So this morning I got ready to leave and packed up my things. It wasn't that much that I was taking with me. When I was ready, I called my friend and asked him to pick me up when he could and call me when he was outside. When my friend called me, I moved my things out. I let my mom know and Kevin know that I will be moving out. They did not take it well and started to beg me to stay. I told them that I couldn't stay there because it was clear to me that they didn't care about me. Kevin got defensive and tried to say that this was my home but I should not leave. I asked him why for these past 2 years when he was in therapy, he has remained the same. How come even though I tried my best, I was still treated like an outsider? He didn't say anything. I asked my mom why she let this go on for years without doing anything to stop it. Again, she didn't say anything. My brothers weren't home, so I went to say goodbye to my sister. It was really hard because she's the only one who has ever treated me with genuine kindness and love. I talked with her a bit, and when I told her I was leaving, she looked so sad. It was harder than I thought to say goodbye to her. I got in my best friend's car and I just broke down. We drove around for a bit before we got to his place. His dad helped me get settled in the guest room. My friend told his parents about the post. They asked me to tell them everything, and I did. The parents talked in private for a bit and then let me know that they would rather I'd stay with them long term than go back. I'm glad you have a good friend with an amazing family. I'm so sorry your family put you through that. You're better off without them, Opie. Best of luck to you. Your parents as well as the extended family should have been arrested for what they did to you. I'm glad you are now in a safe place. Try finding your mom's family. It seems off that they have not forgiven her after all these years. She must have done something else. Please take care. A huge hug from a stranger. I'm so sorry. And still so happy about the update. I hope you find a safe space with your friend's family. Always remember, your friends can be a way better family than your own. And I think that right now, you are building a new family. Loads of love. Stay safe and far from your family. They are trash. Through and through. Never let them bully you into thinking you did anything wrong. Thank you. The only one I will be keeping in contact with is my sister. Last update. Yesterday morning, with the suggestion of my friend's father, it was best for me to take the week off from school, work, and practice. I can see all my assignments in my school account, so I'm not missing out. Also, he took me to the police station to inform them that I would be staying with them, and to file a written report about the abuse in case they would try something to get me back, also for safety reasons. Yesterday evening, Mom called me to see if I could reconsider and go back, but I told her that it was not happening, and I would prefer if Kevin would have zero contact with me. She got upset and tried to guilt me to go back by crying. I'm going to be focusing on my mental health now at my last semester to try and get a shot at a good university. When I feel ready for it, I will contact my mom to try and get the name of my possible bio father and any contact info she has of her side of the family. If that doesn't work, I will try these DNA test sites that have been recommended. Once again, thank you. Thank all for your support and the kick I needed to leave. Big hugs to all of you.